Welcome to Waywut. This is a rabbit hole podcast where we cover topics ranging from sports to true crime and pop culture to just weird facts. Really, it's just a couple of guys taking turns to present weird topics to each other. We publish episodes on Tuesdays and sometimes on Fridays. You can watch us on YouTube and listen pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, just wherever. We're probably there. We really appreciate you joining us for this episode. And now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go.
Why, hello there, and welcome to yet another episode where I take control of the remote and turn to another channel that made me say, wait, what? Joining me on the love seat is a man who likes to cut a hole in the popcorn bucket, Daryl Holiday.
First, why aren't we sitting on the couch so that we can have
a love seat? It's closer together.
We need to have a couch so that we can have that middle spot like this, where it could be the gay buffer.
The gay buffer. You only do that in the movies, but when you're in the place together, like in the house, we sit in a love seat.
I don't think so, and I'm not going to cut a hole in the popcorn bucket because, I mean, like, I get the whole joke around it, and it was in that movie, The Diner, but that butter's hot.
Yeah,
I don't want to get third-degree burns on my dick from popcorn butter. That's not going to be a fun when you're done. That's not going to be a fun explanation at the ER.
Yeah. You're going to have seed in the popcorn seed.
Shut up. Oh, God. No. I just thought about having a kernel in the pee hole. Oh. Man. No.
Or salt.
Ah.
Oh, man, that's freaking hilarious.
No, it's not.
All right. Okay. I love conspiracy theories. Most are ridiculous. Some end up holding water. Many are debunked, yet people keep churning them out. We have all heard of some of the more famous conspiracy theories. Who killed JFK? Was there coke and coke? Is Elvis really dead? These have been talked about
Was there coke and coke is not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. Cocaine wasn't Coca-Cola whenever it was first invented.
Well, you know what I mean.
That's just a fact. Okay. Go on.
Well, these have been talked about ad nauseum. So I wanted to dip a toe in the waters of some lesser known conspiracy theories. The ones I chose has no merit if I believe them to be true or not. Although I will issue my opinion, I only picked ones that seemed interesting and could lead to a good discussion or us making some wise-ass jokes. So let's take off our shoes and let's get dipping.
So I guess this is your way of saying, hey, fuckers, I'm not a flat earther. I just think this is funny to listen to.
Yes, I'm going to tell you, this is how I'm going to break it down. I broke it down like I wrote a legal brief. I'm going to give you the theory. I'm going to give you how did it start. I'm going to give you the possibility of it being true. Then I'm going to give you a conclusion.
Your episodes are always so structured.
It's like I'm writing a legal brief. It's the IROC theory. You have issue, rule, analysis, conclusion.
Wow. I mean, I'm not bitching. I'm not criticizing because like mine are a bit of a mess. There are times whenever I'm like, why did I put that there? Whenever I'm reading it, all of a sudden, whenever I start getting my flow going, and I'm like, damn it.
I've learned as I'm doing it, if I have a question, like if I'm writing it down, I'm like, oh, that could be a question Daryl could ask. I'm going to go ahead and have the answer for that. I'm going to go in and put it in there.
Can you really read me that well? Do you know what questions I'm going to ask before I ask them?
I don't know. I hope if you do, I'll have the answer. Hopefully.
Okay. I guess we'll see.
All right. Here we go. You may have heard of this one. It's the Disney created Frozen as a distraction theory. Yeah. Here's the theory. People have long discussed the conspiracy that Walt Disney used cryogenics technology to freeze himself when he died, even though the Disney family refutes the claims. However, a new theory is that the Walt Disney Company created Frozen, the movie Frozen, as a way to hack Google's search algorithm and distract consumers from information about the late Walt Disney's possible frozen procedure. So, how did this theory start? In 1986, 20 years after Disney's death, author Leonard Mosley published the biography Disney's World. The book claimed that Disney was fascinated by cryogenic preservation as his health declined, and that he had his lungs surgically removed and preserved in its entirety in case he was later brought back to life. A second possible source of the Disney cryogenics rumor is Mark Elliott's 1993 biography, Walt Disney, Hollywood's Dark Prince. The biography continued the narrative regarding Disney's desire to preserve his body. Further, the book made it appear that Disney was obsessed with death, that he had a growing preoccupation with his own mortality. The book also stated that Disney wanted to preserve his body at all cost. In addition, Disney hated funerals. He did not have a funeral, and only immediate family members were present during the interment of his ashes, opening the door of people claiming, "Show me the body."
God.
So that's how this rumor got started. It
Uh,
was the books talking about some of his beliefs and people putting those beliefs together with his funeral being only his family, and yeah.
so I heard something. I was actually watched something about this recently, and the guy he was actually able to track it down to the very first instance of that being reported that any part of Walt Disney was cryogenically frozen, and
Hmm.
it was from a tabloid. It was
National Enquirer.
Bigfoot, Bigfoot, is Walt Disney's son-in-law, whatever. Um, and that was the first time anybody ever even suggested that he was frozen. Uh, Now, when it comes to them creating a movie called Frozen to distract from that, one, I don't think that they care about the publicity it comes. If anything, you would think that they would come up with a movie called Love the Jews, since apparently Disney did not love the Jews. And so if
Yeah,
they had something like Disney loved the Jews, that would mush down all the anti-Semitism and stuff. Um, but yeah, I don't.
yeah. The
I think this
possibility.
one's a stretch.
No, I agree. The possibility of it being true. Once again, this is just my analysis of it. It is possible. Disney has had many instances when they are seen as a world power, if you will. They have lots of pull. Also, the movie Frozen was so pushed down our throats. It was everywhere. And don't even get me started on the damn songs. Okay? But the conclusion, this is the conclusion. Walt Disney died on December 15th, 1966 from lung cancer. His body was cremated per his death certificate. Although the theory has existed since his death, the first documented case of cryogenic preservation took place 1 month after Disney's death. So, in my opinion, this is highly unlikely that Disney had done enough research on cryogenics and decided this is what he wanted. Also, Frozen was not released until November 27th, 2013, almost 47 years later. Conclusion: possible and creative, but not likely.
Now it sounds like just people sitting down, with a keyboard in front of them and just wanting to type something fun to try to get internet attention
Yeah.
for a while. And why are you so down on Frozen? I thought Frozen was pretty good.
No, I think it's a great movie. I like the movie, but of all the Disney movies that came out, there's been some great songs. All any movie you can think of that was Disney usually had a really fantastic song in it, and the ones from Frozen, they were great, but they were not the best ones, and they
All
were
right,
so shoved down our throats.
the woman that plays Elsa is Idina Menzel, and she is probably one of the best voices whenever it comes to singing, and she made the Wicked soundtrack the most amazing thing ever when it comes to Broadway musicals and stuff.
Hmm.
So you get somebody with that powerful of a voice. Yeah, you let that song out there and you push it. Now, uh I mean, and it worked because that song was good. They try to do the same thing with other stuff. I mean, like that we don't talk about Bruno. I mean, that kind of got some traction, but it didn't. It wasn't another Let It Go, but they were hoping it would be.
What song?
We don't talk about Bruno. It's from Encanto.
Mm. Oh, I
We
know.
don't
Okay,
talk
I've
about
only seen that
Bruno.
movie once, but
I've
okay.
never even seen it.
Yeah, I mean, even the songs in Moana, they're catchy, and but
Yeah, but
going
none of
back to
them
even the
were.
Little Mermaid days, I mean, those songs were great.
Again, though, they didn't have Adina Menzel singing it. That's a big
Yeah,
deal. So,
yeah. Well, I guess you said you got
oh,
to
and
showcase it.
you can sit there and say, like, think about this. They had the song from Aladdin that
Yeah, that's a good one.
that but yeah, but they had like a couple of people singing it and it was played on the radio all the time.
Didn't
Beauty and the
Elton John
Beast,
do songs for Lion King?
he did. And then we had Celine Dion singing the Beauty and the Beast song from Beauty and the
Oh,
Beast,
oh
and that was
yeah.
on the radio all the time. So it may not be that they were, you know, that they don't
Maybe it
do
just
that.
seemed
It's just
like it
they hadn't
was.
been able to do that in such a
Yeah.
long time. There was such a big gap between the the amazing time in Disney animation that was the 90s and 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and then that big gap where everything started sucking right around was it would have been after no, after Tarzan probably, because Tarzan had that Phil Collins song that won a freaking Oscar. So after post Tarzan, I can't think of what came after that, but I mean that's probably where things started going down south with like what was it, the
They have
Atlantis
a Hercules
movie and
movie, an Atlantis
oh
movie.
yeah, Hercules didn't come out with any big songs that anybody cared about. Uh, and then there was like, God, just a whole slew, like Hunchback of Notre Dame. Who the
Yes,
hell
yes.
cared about any songs from that movie? So
Wasn't
I
there a
think they've
cat
just had
movie
a dry
somewhere in there?
spell. The cat
Aristocrats, Aristocats.
Aristocats is like late 70s.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's old. And then Oliver and Company was the 80s, and that had a cat in it. And that had Billy Joel that did the voice of one of the dogs. He did the Dodger voice in that one, if I remember right.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do the next one. You might
Okay.
enjoy this one. The theory: Apollo 17 wasn't the last moon mission. The theory: after the success of Apollo 17 in December of 1972, America stopped sending astronauts to the moon. They canceled Apollo 18 and 19 to save money and to focus on the space shuttle. NASA claimed that they logged all the research they needed and government funding was being reduced yearly. And everyone knows the government like to keep secrets, and saying something like this just opens that door even wider. So, how did it start? A movie about a fictional Apollo 18 came out called Apollo 18. It was a science fiction horror film where Apollo 18 lands successfully on the moon in December of 1974 in a top secret mission to plant a radar device on the moon's surface to keep tabs on the Russians. Once they landed, all kinds of chaos ensued, ending with one of the astronauts being injured by an unseen invader. Now, some believe the mission was real and ended tragically when the astronauts had a run in with aliens. What do you think about it,
One,
that theory so far?
it's fucking retarded. Um, I've I've
Ooh,
seen that
the R
movie.
word.
I've seen that movie,
How bad
and
is it?
it's what I mean. It I wouldn't. I've seen way worse, but
Does it
it's
look
just
like it
funny
could be
because
real, like they're saying it could be?
they do it as a found footage movie.
Okay,
They
like a
do it as a
Blair Witch
found.
Project thing?
Yeah, it is so funny. You say an unseen alien? No, you see it. It's like these little rock spiders.
Oh,
Like all the moon rocks are actually like little critters that kill people, and
that's
some of the big
cool.
rocks are too. But I mean that's such a joke because
Mm-hmm.
if you actually pay attention to stuff, people stop caring about it. I mean, part of what got them funding was that people watched it and they cared about it and they kept up with it. Once that stopped happening, then politicians could stop using it to try to get elected. When
Yeah.
politicians don't get to use your department or institute
Yeah.
to
How
get
many
them
astronauts
elected, they're
became
going to kill the
politicians
funding
afterwards?
for it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, what they ended up doing, yeah, they scrapped it, and they went for reusable shuttles.
yeah.
Uh, and we hadn't been to the moon since.
No, but here's the possibility of it being true. This is the
Okay.
analysis. Okay, as a legal side of it, possible. Okay, it would make sense for NASA to deny this. Why would they say, "Yep, we planted a secret radar on the moon to keep up with the Russians"? The explosion of the Challenger in 1986 added to the decline of public interest, just like you were saying, on other moon missions. Plus, the government already proclaimed further missions were not needed, and whatever funds they still had will be focused on the construction for the International Space Station. Furthermore, in 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope was launched. This launch gave NASA some major embarrassment as it was launched and had a flawed mirror. These made the impossible moon missions easier to hide as the public perception saw NASA as incompetent and their focus was on the ISS, the International Space Station.
All that's stupid.
Yeah. I mean,
All that's stupid. Like, once they got Hubble up and running, it was a very, very useful tool for
yeah, but it came
decades.
back with bad pictures.
No, it didn't. It did
Well, have
it
you seen the new pictures from the new telescope with the better mirrors?
that no, it's not just better mirrors. They take pictures differently using different technology altogether.
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
telling
like if
you
I
what.
remember right, like Hubble might have been like some sort of radio technology, and then I forget
Mhm.
what the I think it's called the Webb, or I
James
forget what the
Webb
new
telescope.
is that what it is?
Hmm.
Um, the and yeah, it takes like these really amazing pictures, but it's using something altogether different. I mean, think about like the difference between photographs and picture technology in
Well, that's
the
true.
1980s compared to now. I
But
mean, could
if
you
you're
imagine picking up your rotary phone and taking a picture when you're in the 80s? No.
how does this thing work? Where's the buttons at?
You're sitting there able to take something that's this big and take like a megapixel picture of a large crowd where you can like zoom in up somebody's nose. You know,
No, I agree. The
and on
advancements
top of
in
that,
technology have been great.
they're talking about going to the moon again because now it'd actually be useful because technically they want us to go to Mars.
Yeah,
So to
and it
go to
would need to be.
Mars, we would need to
Well,
go
yeah.
from the moon.
Okay, hang on. That's my
Okay.
conclusion. Okay, there's been major developments in regards to future moon explorations. During the Trump administration, the program Artemis was born. This program basically grants NASA permission to build a small station in lunar orbit and develop the capability to land and create a moon base. Now, I know it has been 50 years, but why, if all the research has been completed, will more trips be needed? This is my take. I believe there has been a few other missions to the moon looking for a suitable place to build a lunar base or even begin building one. This is, this is necessary for a possible landing on Mars. Conclusion: highly likely and really not that much of a stretch to think the government will keep things like this under wraps. They want to jump on claiming the moon.
You want to know something that makes me sad?
Yes.
Going to Mars is kind of useless. I say kind of useless. Like I remember when I was a kid, I loved the idea of us moving to Mars someday and trying to terraform that planet.
Uh-huh.
Which we can't until we can actually terraform a planet. We have no business trying to go to one because we can't live on Mars. The air pressure there is like almost non-existent, and so like it would cause issues with our circulation and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
would be a problem. You can't just sit there and do like I remember I was a kid. I was like, why don't we just plant a bunch of trees there? That'll sort it out. They'll just grow. You know,
How hard can it be?
yeah. It's just no. That's not how things work. Um,
No. Have you seen the
so
movie Martian
yeah,
with Matt
I've
Damon?
read the book.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
a book. That's gonna be a
yeah.
cool. That could be. Or
You want to
that
borrow
probably is
it?
a cool book then.
It's a good book. No, I mean it's interesting and it's cool and all. And I mean it's always a fun idea to think of, and it gets people excited. But uh, it's just it's not unless we can actually figure out one if it has a molten core or not. to how to potentially make it have an atmosphere,
Yeah.
then there's no point in really going there. Now, if they want to go find one of those good, those really good moons around Saturn that might, potentially be inhabitable, then yeah, go for that. But um,
That reminds
uh,
me, I recently, I'm sorry, this is going to kind of change subjects, but
mhm,
you brought up Saturn. There's
mhm,
a new app I've found out. It's like a Skyview app. If you go outside during the dark and you put this app up, it shows you all the stars. And then
yeah,
it shows you exactly where they are, what kind of star it is. And it also showed you where the planet was.
mhm,
So if I had a telescope, I could have saw Saturn the other night because he was showing me exactly where it's at.
yeah.
And if you
They've
press
had
on it,
those
yeah.
those have been around for like a handful of years.
Oh, I've
Like
just now came across it and I was amazed. If you
whenever
press on it, it tells you how far away it is, how many light years away, what's the star
yeah,
name, if it was a
whenever
star or a planet or a moon.
whenever I was in Minnesota during that whole Aurora Borealis thing was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting, basically sitting outside taking pictures of the sky all night. I was using that app to kind of, because I'm not very good at constellations. Like I
Hell
can
no,
spot the
they're
Big
hard to see.
Dipper, and that's about it. But I was using that to kind of find the other ones, which was like, oh, cool. So
Ain't it cool?
that's what that one is.
Yeah.
Orion's belt. That's where it
Oh,
is.
it was really cool. I was super, super amazed. And too bad I live in a neighborhood that it's not too dark out when it's supposed to be dark out. So it's kind of
Yeah,
hard to see the stars. But yeah, being in Minnesota at that time during that Aurora Borealis, yeah, that'd been a
it was pretty
perfect
cool.
time to use that app.
Yeah, it
That'd been
was pretty
cool.
cool.
All
Well,
right.
I mean, the Aurora Borealis thing was cool and all, but you also needed your phone to take pictures because you can't see it with your. You don't just see the colors and everything with your eyes. You have to snap pictures, uh,
Oh, to catch all
and
the
that
wavelengths.
yeah, then you're able to see all the the purples and greens and whatever's reds and stuff.
Huh? Okay. That's kind of cool. I've always wanted to see those in person, but I've never
Me
been up
too.
north far
I
enough
just
to
got
see them.
lucky. Just got lucky. I was in the right place, right time.
Hmm. All right. This is one you've probably heard of because you're in the know on these conspiracy theories, but some people may not. It's the Pizzagate theory. Uh,
God.
yeah. Here's the theory. In 2016, the New York City Police Department allegedly discovered a pedophilia ring linked to members of the Democratic Party while searching through emails of Anthony David Weiner, the U.S. rep.
Wiener.
Weiner, the
Wiener.
U.S. rep for New York 9th Congressional District, who was being investigated for. I'm sorry.
Just go. This is
I know. Okay,
I'll
you said
express my
wiener, and
opinion
I
about
just
this
started
in a minute.
laughing. He was
Wiener.
being investigated for sending suggestive photos of himself to a minor.
His wiener.
Go
He's
figure.
yeah.
Wiener sending a wiener pic.
Yeah. Wiener's wiener pictures.
That's terrible. Oh my
If I
goodness.
had a friend that had the last name Wiener, how do you just not call him Cock all the time?
Yeah, how do you not change your name?
Hey Schlong, come here.
I mean,
Hey
come
Pecker.
on. Your last name is Wiener. I don't care if you try to tell me to
It
pronounce
comes
it
from a
Weiner. No,
it
it's a
comes from a
fucking Wiener.
proud, long line of wieners.
Yeah, it wasn't a short, plump line. It was the long, girthy
Long,
lineage.
veiny line of wieners.
It's throbbing as it lies there. The lineage. It just
Uh,
pulsates. That
could you
family
imagine
tree.
you have a baby and it's like, oh, is that little baby wiener? Yeah, this is little baby wiener. Oh, my little baby wiener was throwing up all night last night.
Oh
Well,
man.
don't shake your wiener too hard. You
You
just
know,
got to
if your
lightly
last
rock
name
it.
was, uh, if you named your kid the same name as you, he would be a Wiener Junior.
Mm-hmm. Or you name him Richard Wiener, and everybody calls him Dick Wiener.
That'd be
Dick Peter Wiener, get in here.
good Lord. You got too many Wiener references. That kid don't stand a chance. Well, okay. How did this theory start? In 2016, the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, had his email hacked. WikiLeaks published these emails. Proponents of the theory claim the emails contained coded messages that connected many higher ups in the Democratic Party with an alleged human trafficking and child sex ring. In one of the emails, the owner of Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria and Podesta discussed hosting a fundraiser for Clinton. This pizzeria was supposedly the HQ of this theory. This theory was spread on social media. It gained a lot of traction, and celebrities were even included in taking part. And the possibility of it being true. The theory has been discredited by a variety of organizations, including the Washington, D.C. police, media outlets, and the fact checking website Snopes.com. But this didn't stop people from trying to investigate the theory themselves. As of today, no alleged victims have come forward and no physical evidence have been found. Conclusion. Although I do agree that the elite and government agents do tend to bend, stretch, and manipulate facts, this theory holds very little water. Not enough proof. Conclusion, highly unlikely. However, the Clintons have been part of several conspiracy theories going back to Bill's day as governor. See No Justice in Arkansas.
Dang, you're doing all the throwbacks.
hmm There was also linked to Epstein. They were also linked to Epstein. So,
All right. Do I get to sound off on this shit now?
yes,
All right.
need your input.
So, one, there was way more interesting stuff in the leaks that came out instead of that, like
hmm
whatever. Two, I mean, like everybody has just been, I think this became a thing because everybody wanted to be the one to uncover a thing. And so there was this stupid, innocuous pizza thing. And so they're
hmm
like, oh no, yeah, I've got to find it. I'm going to dig. If there was anything, it would not have been hard to find because the Epstein stuff had been known about for years. People had talked about it for years. People called out the people on there for years. And then once it all really started unraveling, they buckled. I mean, yeah, they buckled down, and all the people that were doing that are protected. So they're not so scared that they would jump through all of the hoops of doing weird pizza references and get their child trafficking done through a pizza
Secret.
place.
Yeah, they would just
No,
go buy
well,
their own island and do it from there.
and not even just that. I mean, it's like that they do what they do all the time,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna. I mean, they have their ways, and it's sure as fuck not gonna be through a little stupid ass pizza place.
No, I
I
remember
mean,
when this was coming out, and you would see they would try to wrap in everybody. I mean, I'm calling Christy Teigen out only because I remember she was being one of the main ones being called out. How she was using secret code for what she wanted, like a large pepperoni meant she wanted a 12-year-old boy, or if she would say some other pizza topping, and that meant she wanted a girl. It was
that bitch ain't
it was
smart
real.
enough to do codes. I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen the things that this woman has said. She's an idiot.
Uh-huh.
And no, no. It's just whenever they do it, they like if it's too illegal, they'll go somewhere, whether it's islands or secret sex parties or whatever.
Or big ass houses so that everybody's there and is
Yeah,
already
the
knows
eyes
about it.
wide
Yeah.
shut shit. Uh,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and because they know that even if like their supplier gets busted, they're going to be safe because that's
hmm
what happened with this. I mean, it still makes no sense to me at all that Ghislaine Maxwell could be convicted of human trafficking and have a client list and not a single client get arrested.
Yeah,
Because what they were
that's
doing
hard to believe.
was illegal as well.
Yeah, that
So,
should have came out in court. I don't know why it didn't.
oh,
Or
I
if
know
it
why it
did,
didn't. They
I mean,
no, they it didn't because they didn't want it to.
that's not how court works. But okay.
It's how it worked.
Well, I'm just
How
in
it's
theory
supposed to
that's not
work.
how
It's how
courts are supposed to work. Yeah. Okay. Uh, so I wrote that one down because I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. I kind of knew a little bit about it.
I think it was just somebody, people wanting to find the next
No, I
Epstein,
agree.
and
No,
it was just
yeah, they're
it's
very
I want to be
creative.
more famous because I remember I watched a documentary about it, that some dude did, and it was over an hour long, and it was on YouTube, and it was all about Pizzagate, and I remember his evidence and all this, and I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, this is a fucking joke. I mean, I was like intrigued. I was like,
Hmm.
oh gosh,
How much time
somebody's
they
finally
spend on
getting
this
some
stuff?
info. Somebody's finally getting some information on like what these creepy perverts are doing in Washington. And I watch it and I'm like, God damn it, that was a waste of my time. That was stupid. This guy's stupid.
All right, this last one, uh, I heard only small things about, and I really hope it's not true. But we're going to talk about it. I'm going to bring it up and we're going to analyze it. The theory,
Okay.
the crisis actors theory. Have you heard of this one before?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the theory. The crisis actors are individuals who portray disaster victims in first responder training exercises. Conspiracy theories allege that mass shootings and similar traumatic events are actually staged, with victims and their families being portrayed by covert crisis actors. In this case, the theory states that the Sandy Hook school shooting was staged. Now, how did this theory start? On December 14th, 2012, a fatal mass shooting took place at Sandy Hook Elementary School. I have his name, but I would not give him any pub, so a big piece of shit took his mother's life before murdering 20 students and 6 staff members. He later committed suicide. Theorists claim that it was staged by the U.S. government to promote gun control. This theory was initially adopted by James Fetzer and James Tracy. James Fetzer is a professor of philosophy at science at the University of Minnesota. He is also known as a promoter of conspiracy theories, including the Holocaust denial.
Mm.
James Tracy, former professor of communication at Florida Atlantic University, he suggested in a blog that the government could have hired an acting agency named Vision Box to help stage the shooting. Now, with Vision Box, they offer dramatic training in criminal and victim behavior to actors intended to help bring intense realism to simulated mass casualty incidents in public places. Another leader of this theory was made famous by Alex Jones. He is a far right radio host from Austin. Boo. He believes in all kinds of conspiracies, including 9/11
Gay
and,
frogs.
and the Oklahoma City bombing. When people push agendas on college campuses, it spreads like wildfire.
All right. It's my turn.
You want to chime in, or you want me to do my possibility of it being true?
Um all right, I will start with this.
Okay.
Um I understand why some people might believe this, and I can understand why people would want to believe this because I'm pretty sure you'd rather it be fake than it be real. Um, and I get why they think that because it wasn't that long ago when few years back when there were a bunch of riots around the country, and they kept being these very odd situations where it seemed like people were planning riots and
Uh-huh.
provoking riots and stuff like that. So, I mean, I get that it is not it's something that we wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise us if our government was willing to do something like that. Um, however, I don't believe our government's that half-assed. Whenever they do shady shit, they go full ass. So I don't. I mean, yeah, I think sometimes people go crazy and they kill a bunch of people. That happens. It's always happened. And people are like, it didn't always happen. No, it's always happened. There have been plenty of situations where people did that. I mean, the first school shooting that I'm aware of, or one of the ones that I've learned the most about, was in the 70s, and it was by a girl that was sitting there taking shots at an elementary school across the street from her house. She killed some people. But I think if the government was doing anything shady with something like this, I would not be surprised if they were kind of provoking it or encouraging it. Some of the theories that I have read just for shiggles, okay, but I'm sitting there reading them because I do read them. But some people say that there have been. I want to say there was a couple of them where there were some sort of strange emails or forum posts that somehow connected with some FBI agents before the shootings happened, as if they were being encouraged. I don't hold me to that because I can't remember all the details, because it's not anything I sit there and put. I will say this: I would not put it past the government for doing shady shit.
Yeah.
I just don't see them, because if you fake a school shooting, it's too easy to get caught. Same as like if they were to fake the moon landing, it would have been too
Exactly.
easy to get caught. If you're going to do it, they're going to do whatever it is for real. I mean, because like whenever it comes to 9/11, do I think that the U.S. government was completely unaware that something like that was going to happen? No, I think they were pretty damn fucking well aware it was going to happen. That's a personal opinion. But I don't think that like military planes were the ones that did it and stuff like that. I just think that it's one of those things like with Pearl Harbor. They knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen. They allowed it to happen because we needed a
They
reason to
wanted to
get
get
into World
involved in the
War
war.
II. Yeah. I mean, that is documented. There are documents showing that we were aware that Japan was approaching Pearl Harbor and that an attack was imminent. They just didn't do shit. Because we needed a reason to get in the war. So our government's perfectly capable of doing some insanely shady shit.
Yeah.
When it comes to something like that, I would rather err on the side of caution that it is real, because like I said, one, government goes full ass. Two, you're a pretty shitty person if somebody's actually lost like kids and you're just like, you're fucking liar, you faker.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah, that
fucked
won't
up.
go over very well.
Now, like I said,
Yeah.
I would not put it past the government to do something that shady. I just think that they fully commit to their shady bullshit.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I pretty much agree with you in my possibility of it being true. I state, I do believe that the government pushes for certain outcomes or agendas. They have their hands in a lot of pies. However, I can't see this as a possibility. Too many moving parts. There will always be people who, no matter what, will think the government can stoop to this level. So it's kind of much like you said. If they're going to do it, they're going to go much bigger than what
Yeah, I
they
mean,
did.
there's too many spots where that could
Backfire.
leak out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
what was that?
conclusion, yeah, conclusion,
Well,
interesting, creative, and very bold, but very likely to be not true.
and I mean, like I said, I fully believe that our government is probably doing some super shady shit. Because, like, I look back and you remember the Uvalde school shooting, and you got
Mm-hmm.
all this footage of the cops just standing there,
Yeah,
just sitting there, not doing anything, not treating anything with any kind of urgency, not nothing scrambling around. They're just standing there, and it's because I don't know why. There's not a good fucking reason at all. I mean, I love
January
the fact that
6th. Yeah.
oh dear God, don't even that one's shady. Whenever I was whenever I was in DC, I was asking some questions to some of the staffers and stuff when I was at the Capitol about some of that stuff. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean that's another one of those agent provocateur things, though, kind of like with the
Mm-hmm.
riots. There were people that had codes to open doors that nobody would have had those codes to open those doors,
Yeah. Here, go this way. This is the way you should go.
and it's
Enter
magically
here.
it just happens to be all that happened to just happen on the day that the Secret Service just up and decided to update their have a system update, and all of their electronic messages to each other disappeared.
How convenient.
I
How
don't know.
often does that shit happen? All
So,
the
like I said,
time.
yeah, our government does shady shit. So, like, one, yeah, of course, we're going to, whenever there's something bad that happens and the government comes out saying, oh, this is terrible, we need to take your guns. Yeah, people are going to be like, what are you
I
up
need
to, you
more.
shady
Yeah.
motherfucker? Yeah, you're shady. And I get that. I would not want to, like, I think victims and all that are real. I don't, I don't think the cause is just because somebody has a gun. I think that, like there's a recent one, but that kid that's like 12 years old and had an AR-15.
In
Like
Georgia?
one, yeah, like one, I'm not going to give my son's 12. I'm not giving him an AR-15. He doesn't have a gun. I was lucky to get a
His
BB.
parents were held culpable, or his dad was brought up on charges too.
I think that's kind of that's dangerous. That's a dangerous slope for
It's
us
a
to get
dangerous
on.
precedent, but
Yeah.
I don't know the entire story. But he
I
was
mean,
brought up on charges.
I don't think it's I think if anything, he should be able to be held civilly liable potentially.
Yeah,
But I don't know if it should be criminal. It's because I mean, there's no statute saying you cannot give your kid a gun. Now, I grew up with a rifle in my closet. Uh,
22. Yeah,
no,
like a oh
I had a
12 gauge.
303 British jungle carbine, which is like it was what the British used in World War II.
Okay.
It was what I used for deer, and it was in my closet. But you know what? It also had a lock on the
Mm-hmm.
trigger that my dad had the key to because guns
Gun
aren't toys.
safety. Yeah,
Yeah,
gun safety is
like
what you're supposed to be
every
doing.
every gun in my house is locked up.
Yeah.
You know, but and so like, are people? Should a guy be held responsible for not being responsible with his guns on a civil suit? I can see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
But having to go to jail because you gave your kid a present that is legal for you to give your kid,
It's
that's not, it's you have to break a statute to be held to have face a criminal charge. You just
yeah,
have to fuck up in general to be civilly responsible for something.
yeah. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I'm picking up what
But
you're throwing down.
yeah, I mean, it's just but yeah, it's a fucked up situation. I don't think we need to outlaw guns over it. I think
No, there's what we're
that's
doing
always a
now.
terrible idea. You know my opinion on the government,
Yeah,
but
no, what we're doing now isn't working, but taking away the guns is not the answer. There's
no.
other solutions out there. What they are, I don't know, but there has to be other solutions because what's happening now definitely ain't working. But I know taking guns away will not
Hey,
work.
let's save taxes. We'll sell all the schools, and everybody will have to go to school at home. through through like in COVID, go through Zoom, be
Oh
like, oh
God, that was
no,
terrible. My kids didn't learn
there's
shit.
and on top of that, like think about how sick of your kids you probably were by then.
Oh, I'm still sick of my kids. What are you talking about?
I was not living with my kids at the time, so
Oh, they were in
like
my office space or my
I
home
still got to
space.
love my children during the pandemic.
Oh, well, I made up things for them to go do outside. I gave them a scavenger hunt to go do so they could scavenge the neighborhood for hours. Give something to do.
Yeah.
Well, well, that will do it for this week's episode.
Why
Tune in
you
next
really
week.
had to end us on a bummer like that?
Well,
You
they're all kind of bummers.
if you're good, no, you could have ended this with Disney and let us go
No.
away lighthearted. Instead, I'm gonna have to leave this episode all mopey and shit
Well,
because you
do
sit
you
there
want to tell?
reminding me about like terrible stuff.
Do you want to tell another boner joke?
I don't think the timing is appropriate. I don't think the timing is appropriate.
Oh, there's always room for boner jokes, Daryl. What kind of world are we living in if we can't joke about boners?
Well, there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place. I
Well,
mean, it's just somebody like say a dude like gets dick cancer and they lop his dick off. You don't go in there making boner jokes.
you do if they're a friend.
No, and then you don't like go talking to
If
like
you
some.
lost your dick, Daryl, I'm going to make fun of you for losing your dick. Those
You
jokes.
wouldn't. I would have already killed myself. So
Oh,
you wouldn't
oh
get the
man.
chance. I mean, think about it. I mean, come on. Do you really want to keep going after that?
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
You getting a bigger dick?
I don't. If what's the good if you can't feel anything in it? I mean, you
Huh?
get a prosthetic, some prosthesis or something. It's just going to be like, it's like, oh
It's for
yes,
the
here's
look.
my
Yeah.
piece of metal or
Yeah.
plastic
Here's
or
my
whatever
plastic schlong.
yeah, no, screw
Oh,
that.
what
No,
the hell are we talking
I'll
about
just,
here?
you're the one who did
Anyway,
it.
yeah. But tune in next week when Daryl takes back the remote and turns to yet another channel that made us say, "Waywut." Later.
You're such a grandpa. All right. Yeah.
Hey,
Bye.
bye.
Boners. Thank you for joining us for Waywut. We really appreciate you watching or listening. Please subscribe or follow us on your favorite platform to catch our latest episodes that we publish on Tuesdays and sometimes on Fridays. We'd love to hear from you, whether it's rating us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, commenting on our videos or just a podcast episode, or following us and hitting us up on TikTok, Facebook, or X. You can find us there with our handle, Waywut Podcasts. That's WAYWUT Podcast. And that will do it for this episode. Join us next time. We'll make you say, Waywut.